PALWORLD has just dropped some potentially huge news. Pocketpair is already talking about the next major update for PALWORLD, and considering what we just got with this massive PALWORLD launch, I think the big question is, what the heck could possibly be coming next? Because I don't think this update could just be a little kind of patch fix. So today I want to talk about the announcement, what we already know, and most importantly, what I think a PALWORLD patch can actually add to the game. But before we get into that, a word from our sponsor. PALWORLD Cards Online is one of the newest sims for PALWORLD TCG. It lets you make any deck you want. It's all free of charge. There's a ranked system, there's a tournament system, and you can play against bots, AI, or other players if you want. And there's actually an event coming up at the end of the month in August for a free booster box, all free to enter. So yeah, great. It's a great simulator, lots of cool events, just like that free booster box. So if you guys wanted a shot at trying to get one of those sold out first edition PALWORLD booster boxes, hit up PALWORLD Cards Online, and I'll see you guys there. Alright, we're back with our video, and first I want to put this into perspective. PALWORLD 1.0 only officially launched on July 10, and this wasn't just Pocketpair taking the early access sticker off the game. This thing was enormous. We got 72 new pals, bringing the total to 287. We got access to the World Tree, Sunreach, and additional areas. We got Awakening, Mutations, Breeding was overhauled, partner skills were massively reworked, combat and movement were changed, base raids were redesigned, the graphics got an overhaul, and the story itself was significantly expanded and reorganized. Basically, PALWORLD 1.0 felt like PALWORLD 2, the sequel, and that's why we're seeing Pocketpair already looking toward a major 1.1 update. And this is interesting because where do we go from here? So possibility one is that we can just get straight up more PALWORLD, new areas, another island, another biome, maybe even an entirely different region that's disconnected from the original map of Palpagos. Remember, 1.0 finally opened up the World Tree and introduced Sunreach. So Pocketpair has already shown they're willing to dramatically expand the playable world. And now that the main progression goes all the way to level 80, there's an obvious opportunity here. What if 1.1 increases the level cap again? Level 90 or even 100? They can give us new technology, weapons, armor, resources, bosses, and obviously pals. Now you might ask, isn't this like paid DLC stuff? But Pocketpair has given all of this stuff to us for free in the past, and they even reduced the cost of the game on launch from its alpha release. Like, what company does that? Absolutely crazy. This is actually what I want the most. PALWORLD has always had a ton of stuff to do while you're progressing, and they just usually have a big end game already. But eventually you reach a point where you've got your perfect base, you've bred your ridiculous pals, you got your legendary gear, and you've beaten everything. And you're just sitting there thinking, okay, now what? 1.0 already made a big push toward deeper endgame progression with the World Tree, Awakening, and all that stuff I talked about already, so maybe 1.1 takes it even further. Imagine repeatable endgame dungeons, extremely difficult raid bosses, randomized encounters in the world, more world bosses, weekly challenges, rare mutations, exclusive cosmetics that just aren't hats on your head, or even some kind of endless dungeon where enemies continuously become stronger, or some kind of like survival wave type thing. I'm thinking like Halo Reach levels. Give me something where having an absolute cracked team of pals actually matters. And this is another thing that I think can completely change Palworld, a major multiplayer expansion. Palworld has all the pieces for something much bigger here. You've got base building, PAL teams, weapons and PvP, you got raids, there's massive servers. So what if Pocketpair starts leaning harder into making Palworld a game that people don't just finish, but continue to want to play for thousands of hours? Imagine expanded PvP modes with better matchmaking, ranked PAL battles, guild systems that are bigger than whatever that is in the game, server events even, maybe even tournaments, and with 1.0 already significantly reworking the multiplayer and raids, there's already foundation there to build and expand on. Let's talk about story too. So this one shouldn't be overlooked because 1.0 actually made Palworld's story much more important. So basically, instead of just throwing you in the world and saying, there's a giant tree over there, good luck, the game now has a much more structured progression toward the world tree, along with additional NPCs, journals, and story-driven missions. That makes me wonder if 1.0 wasn't supposed to be the ending, but maybe it was the beginning of a larger one. There's still plenty of mysteries surrounding Palpagos. Where exactly did the pals come from? What else exists outside these islands? Where does the story go after the world tree? 1.1 could potentially be the first post-launch story expansion. And then we could also just introduce a completely new system. This is where things get interesting. Look at what happened with 1.0. They didn't just add more pals, they introduced entirely new mechanics like awakening and mutation. So 1.1 could introduce another major system that we aren't expecting. Maybe deeper PAL evolution, new PAL variants, more advanced breeding, some kind of fusion, like I'm thinking Persona fusion. You take two PALs and mash them together and just see what you get. But yeah, the possibilities are endless. So what is the next big Palworld system that they could do? Another thing they could introduce, which they have already done in the past for free by the way, are collaborations. Palworld has already crossed over with games like Terraria, and Pocketpair has made it pretty clear they're interested in collaborations when they actually make sense for the game. So imagine 1.1 launching alongside another major crossover. New weapons and armor, a crossover boss, maybe even crossover pals or creatures. There's a ton of possibilities here. So here's what I think 1.1 really needs though. Personally, I don't think Palworld needs a gigantic dump of content immediately. We just got 72 pals that are new to the game. What I think Pocketpair needs to do is make the endgame deeper. Give us reasons to build those insane pals and breed them, and a reason to return to our bases and make them perfect. Give us a really extremely difficult bosses and maybe better multiplayer systems. Imagine like a multiplayer like raid. Like there's a base your team has to defend from an attacking team. Like how crazy would that be? But yeah, maybe sprinkle in 10 to 20 new pals every now and then, but we don't need another 70 to 100 new pals, although that is amazing. They could also focus on those other systems. So 1.0 proved that Pocketpair is not done with Palworld. If 1.1 is already being positioned as another major update, then the full release wasn't the finish line. It was basically the start of Palworld's second era. Now, I know what you guys think. What do you think is coming in Palworld 1.1? Do you want another huge island, more pals, a level cap increase, more story, or do you want Pocketpair to focus on PvP and endgame? Let me know in the comments below, and if we get any more content about Palworld 1.1, I'll obviously be covering it here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.